Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really interesting question, one that's pretty crucial if you're into sports analytics, or maybe just looking for that extra edge in fantasy football.
Yeah, because who doesn't want that edge, right? Bragging rights are key.
Exactly. So our mission today is simple. Can a quarterback's college touchdown to interception ratio, basically, how many TDs they throw versus picks, actually predict how well they'll do in the NFL? Especially for fantasy.
It's a classic question. Does college performance translate?
Right. We've got some research here, and we're going to pull out the key insights, give you the important stuff fast.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack the study itself first. How did they even approach this?
Well, the methodology seems pretty solid. They looked at the top 30 fantasy football finishers each year.
Okay.
And this wasn't just recent data. It goes all the way back to 2003.
Wow, okay, so a good long-term view.
Yeah, exactly. And they used the full college career TD to interception ratio, not just, one great senior year.
That makes sense. Consistency over a whole career.
Right. And another key point, they actually excluded the rookie NFL season for these guys.
Why is that?
To account for that learning curve, The adjustment period when players jump to the pros can be pretty rough. Doesn't always reflect their true potential right away.
Gotcha. So filtering out that initial noise, what did they find just looking at those categories?
Well, the initial look was promising. They found that in 14 out of the 21 seasons they studied, 66.7%, the quarterbacks who finished in the top 5 for fantasy points generally had better college TD-INT ratios than the guys finishing way down, like between 21st and 30th.
So right off the bat, there seems to be something there. Higher ratio, better fantasy finish, more often than not.
Exactly. It pointed towards a correlation, but they didn't just leave it at higher is better.
Right, you need specifics.
They wanted to find, a specific number, a threshold, Where do you really see the performance jump combined with consistency at the top? Their first analysis, sort of comparing the top 10 finishers versus the bottom 10, hinted that maybe a ratio of 1.8 and up was the mark for what they called elite performance. But here's where it gets really interesting. They dug deeper.
So they refined the search.
Yeah, they rigorously tested a bunch of numbers around that initial 1.8 finding and the actual statistically verified optimal threshold.
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At brainyballers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting ability so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
It landed on 2.7 and above.
2.7, wow, that's quite a jump from 1.8.
It is. And that specific range, 2.7 or higher in college, resulted in quarterbacks appearing in the fantasy top 5, a significant 33.3% more often than those in the bottom tier, looking back since 2003.
Okay, 33.3% higher chance of being top 5 if you hit that 2.7 mark in college. That's pretty substantial. So what's the statistical muscle behind that 2.7 number?
Right. So they backed it up with correlation analysis. The Pearson correlation value between the college TD-INT ratio and the NFL fantasy production was 0.162.
Now, for those of us not living in spreadsheets, what does that mean practically?
Well, Pearson correlation measures how strongly two things move together. A positive number means as one goes up, the other tends to go up. So higher college ratio, higher fantasy points.
Okay.
The study calls 0.162 a strong correlation. And just for some context, right, something everyone agrees matters a lot, like a running back's draft capital.
Yeah, how high they were picked in the draft.
Right. That had a Pearson value of negative 0.234.
But okay, focusing back on the 2.7 ratio, is this trend getting stronger or weaker over time? Like, is it more relevant now, or was it more predictive back in the early 2000s?
That's a great question. When they applied that optimal 2.7 plus range across the 2 decades, they actually saw a bit of a declining trend in terms of how often top performers hit that specific 2.7 mark.
Oh, so fewer top guys nowadays have that super high college ratio.
It seems that way, yeah. But, and this is important, the overall relevance of the metric, its connection to success, still held strong.
So what could that mean? Maybe the game's changing.
Could be. Maybe modern NFL offenses value slightly different things, or the college game itself is producing QBs who show elite traits in other ways besides just that raw TDINT number.
So the principle college efficiency matters still holds, but the exact number defining elite might be shifting a bit.
That's one interpretation, yeah. It suggests we need to keep reevaluating these things, but it also shows how a seemingly simple metric can still pack a predictive punch.
Definitely. So pulling it all together from this deep dive, the big takeaway seems clear. The research really did verify that a quarterback's college TDINT ratio, especially that 2.7 and above mark, has real predictive value for NFL performance.
Higher efficiency in college does tend to carry over. It gives you something tangible.
Absolutely. It's a solid metric to add to your evaluation toolkit. As we wrap up, what really stands out to you from all this?
For me, it's the prompt for a bigger question, you know? If we know this specific college stat has predictive power, well, how does that change how you evaluate players? Not just QBs, maybe other positions, or even other sports. What other, under-the-radar stats might be out there holding keys to future success that maybe we're just not looking closely enough at right now?